ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. We fell for the lies of the devil. When we got high was the devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil.
I remember I was only 13 when I met the demon. Gave me a deuce and a bundle of cocaine. Told me to sell to my people, make sure you keep them cleaning. If any try to show you, make sure that you leave them leaking. He said, I'ma hold you down when problems pop up. How you got me moving this dope? Want me in lockup? He said, don't you want the best vertical with the top up? Yeah, stop, bitch. Get in that kitchen, let it rock up. Bitches love the dope boy, especially when it's pop up. I know you know Ron. You the plug from by the block up. I'll tell you a little secret. Make sure that you keep your mouth shut. Ron got a Lexus, crib in Philly in Texas. Trips up Bahamas, just got a whip for his mama. He's fucking up them commas. Be honest, he seemed decent though. I hear you, but I just seen Ron about a week ago. Fat, he ain't looking too good. His knees are kind of slow. I asked him why the struggle. He got stuck up for his bundle, but them 6 hollow tips in his legs what made him crumble. He got a house and mama is living good. Said the feds took it all. He right back in the hood. I see you try to play me. You gave us crack in the 80s. Made us support our babies and making hoes out our ladies. I know you got me gravy, but Satan, you must be crazy. It's gonna take more than them cars when to amaze me. I seen niggas shoot for the stars but being lazy. Never get their head at the clouds so you don't face me. I guarantee that you won't regret it. Remember I said it. No, you could dead it. What you saying? I can't win? No, devil, nice try. So until we meet again,
I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. We fell for the lies of the devil. When we got high was the devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. I ain't religious or superstitious, but we been getting fucked and put to the side like a mistress. Police patrolling why? Because prison became a business. They murder one of us and they start talking about forgiveness. We think that it's alright because we got public assistance. If this ain't hell, dog, what is this? Where was all lives mattered when they killed Osama? There was no peace talk like the Dalai Lama. Bush driving bombs saying he gon' bring the drama. They got justice, man, they even caught the Boston bomber. But when we ride, they send the military in armor. When we fight oppression, then our people die a martyr. You reap what you sow, some people call it karma. When Christ return, y'all gon' get this harvest like a farmer. Don't tell me don't bring up the past no more. They still trying to settle the score with a side of Shakur. I changed my life and I'm just trying to live life right. But at night I look behind me and see flashing lights patting me down. You got nothing that's poking me right. I don't smoke or push pills, I gave up my vice. So Mr. Officer, why you wanna take my life? And Your Honor, why you gave our homeboys life? I've been wondering why you shot our homeboy twice. Pussy with a gun screaming out that he got a knife. He came from Habibi's spot, it was chicken and rice. Shit's tripe, I'm just giving visuals like Skype. Ask Trayvon, Mike Brown, a Kai Gurley, Eric Garner, Sean Bell, Philando, Olden, Sterling, Jaquan McDonald. The white man is so devilish. Ask Hammurabi, he'll tell you who the devil is. The white man is so devilish. Ask Hammurabi, he'll tell you who the devil is. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. We fell for the lies of the devil. When we got high was the devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. And we seen the rise of the devil. I pray.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahshai Barakatah to all the brothers. Yahweh Shemar Alethah Ba'Shem Yahshai to the sisters. I'm Officer 500 of Baja. We back at it again, starting a little late, but we back at it again. It's Monday night. You know what we do on Monday nights? We bring out that history. The history they don't really want to talk about. They hate when we talk about it, but we're going to talk about the history that our brothers went through, our brothers and sisters and their children, right? We're talking about the Trail of Tears, right? That's the removal of thousands of Gadite brothers, right? Predominantly the Cherokee tribe, right? This is Native American Indians, predominantly the Cherokee tribe, but also the Creek tribe, the Chickasaw tribe, and the Seminole Indians, right? But predominantly Cherokee, right? What's not talked about, what we know in the I.S.U.P.K, that Native American Indians are Israelites. They are God's chosen people, right? There's a reason why they go through curses, as well as blacks, Hispanics, and other, and all Native Americans, right? There's a reason why we go through curses, right? That's because we're God's chosen people. In disobeying the Lord and falling away from his law, statutes, and commandments, we would go through the curses in Deuteronomy 16 down to 68, right? So we're going to go through the Trail of Tears, right? And the Trail of Tears is basically, they forced our brothers and sisters to walk 1,000 plus kilometers, right? If you're American, they say miles. 1,000 plus kilometers from Florida, Mississippi, around, majority of it was Florida, but from a lot of southern states, from Mississippi, Atlanta, Florida, Louisiana, and they marched our brothers and sisters out into Oklahoma, right? And there was harsh conditions, right? And it's like, when you think about the terrible things that happened to our Gadite brothers and sisters, it's a terrible thing that happened, because like Native Americans are hospitable people, right? The tribe of Gad is a hospitable people. They when the Europeans first got to what they deemed as the New World, they were struggling. They didn't know how to farm. They didn't know how to take showers. They didn't know how to do a lot of things, right? But the Gadites, for being so peaceable and so hospitable, they decided that, you know what, they're gonna help these newcomers, right? And you can never trust your enemy. Helping them was, it was a terrible thing to do, because that, you can't help a snake and expect a snake not to bite you, right? You can't speak to a cobra and say, listen, do not strangle me, or a constrictor, and tell the constrictor not to strangle you, right? As you come in, the water for watching, as you come in, just hit that like button, thumb up the video real quick, hit that like button, right? If you want to be a trooper in the school for the young men, or a sister in the school for the women, hit the sign-in link, get these Hebrew benefits, get a name, right? You don't have to walk around with a English name anymore, right? Get back to your culture. If you're Black, Hispanic, and Native American, excuse me, get back to your culture, right? Get you a Hebrew name. Speak the language your forefathers and foremothers spoke before the devil came to the shores, before the devil put you on boats and shipped you to the Americas and in the Caribbeans, before the devil put you on boats and shipped you out to England, if you are part of the Northern Kingdom, if you're a Hispanic or Native American, right? It wasn't just the so-called blacks who went on slave ships. Native Americans and Hispanics went on slave ships as well. That's how we got our Hispanic and Native American brothers out in places like Spain, England, right? Because the devil the Bible speaks of, who was our oppressor, he just wants to steal and kill. Right? So we're gonna get into the Trail of Tears. Make sure you thumb up the video, like the video, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that sign-in link. Right. Later on tonight, we got Commanding General YAHANNA. He's going to be live with the heavy hitters on Blackwatch. Go check it out. Even if the class is still going, go check it out. All right. So once again, like, subscribe, and share this video. Right. So we're going to get into the Trail of Tears. Right. And before we do, no, we'll get into our what we're reading. right? So this is the Trail of Tears. Salakia. We got the Highway of Tears right here. Right. So there's also a Highway of Tears for Native American brothers and sisters who reside in Canada. You are still the tribe of Gad, and we might get into that sometime down the way. We'll get into the Highway of Tears. For now, we're doing the Trail of Tears, which was this happened in the United States. And we're gonna bring out the history that they don't teach us this history in high school, right? You go into high school and you learn about like Gadites helping the oppressors. You learn about World War I and World War II, and that's where it stops. Right? They don't like to go, the people who set up the curriculum, they don't like to talk about their crimes because they know they've done evil acts, horrendous acts throughout the earth, right? There's only one man who goes around the earth hunting and removing people and killing off species, right? There are damn near no more rhinos left because the oppressor likes to go around and hunt, right? So we're going to get into the Trail of Tears. If you could see the screen properly, just drop a 1 in the chat. Just drop a 1 in the chat if you could see the share screen properly. If you can't see it, we'll fix it. I'll fix it up for you. But if you can see the share screen properly, drop a 1 in the chat. Right, so the Trail of Tears was part of a series of forced relocations of approximately 100,000 Native Americans between 1830 and 1850, done by the United States government, also known as the Indian Removal Act. Right, members of the Cherokee, Muskogee, Creek, Seminole, Chickasaw, and Salakia, if I don't pronounce it right, Choctaw nations. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that right. Including thousands of their black slaves. Right. So first, before we get into that, like before we get into the rest of the Trail of Tears, there is a narrative that is pushed into the earth that Native American Indians own slaves, right? And that's just not true. That is something that our oppressors have put out into the earth to sow separation between brothers, right? Blacks and natives, Hispanics, we're all family. We are the Israelites of the Bible. We make up 12 tribes. That's why we go through all the oppression. That's why no matter what we do, we're always at the bottom, right? So what was really happening is for hundreds of years, runaway slaves would run away to Native Americans, right? They would run away to the Reubenites. They would run away to the Seminole Indians. They would run to the Cherokees, the Gadites, and they would hide amongst them, right? And because Gad is such a peaceable people, they seen all of our oppression and they decided that they were going to help us out, right? What the devil, the Bible speaks of, who is our oppressor, the man that's on the bill of all the money, right? What they decided to do, they would see the runaways and they would come and take them back, right? They would see us living amongst the Gadites and amongst the Reubenites, and they would basically say, you guys are living too at peace, right? So to sow separation, They said that, okay, you know what? We're going to tell the Native American Indians that they're allowed to own slaves, right? What our brothers did, because they were so, they like, when it comes to war tactics, a lot of the war tactics that are gone in the world right now, that are happening in the world, they come from the Gadites, right? What the Gadites did was they said, all right, we'll sign these black people's names, right? So-called black people's names onto slave ledgers, right? But they didn't treat them like slaves, right? If the oppressor came onto the Gadite land and they seen a black man or a black woman or a black child, they would basically say, is he your slave? And if you couldn't produce if you couldn't produce like their name on a ledger that said they were a slave, they would take them back to be sold to some oppressor, right? So the Gadites, they would put our names on these ledgers, but they wouldn't treat us like slaves, right? We were free people. They were just playing games on the devil, who is the oppressor, right? If they seen a black person's name on a ledger, they'd be like, all right, he's yours, right? And they wouldn't take them off. It's well known that black men would marry Native American women and have children, and the children would be considered free, right? So that way their children would be considered free. And a lot of our brothers and sisters they're not really educated when it comes to like actual history and the things we go through. So they'll see a name on a paper and say, oh, look, the natives had us as slaves, when that's not exactly true. So now that we discussed that, we're gonna go back into it, right? So they were forcibly removed from their ancestral homelands in the southern United States to areas, Slovakia, one moment, to the areas west of the Mississippi River that had been designated Indian territory, right? So that's a lot that we have to deal with right there, right? So there was let's get into, we're going to stop this and come back to it. We got to get into the Indian Removal Act. Right, so we're going to get into the Indian Removal Act. Let's get into it. So this Indian Removal Act, it was an act signed by a killer, right? It was an act introduced by a terrible person, a devil, right? Andrew Jackson, he was a president, and they called him the Indian Killer, right? He hated North American Indians. He hated blacks, Hispanics, and all the other tribes, right? There was a time when the U.S. made many treaties with Gadites, right? They made many treaties with the Gadites and told them that these will be your lands, right? One of the treaties that they had was they basically they beguiled the Cherokee Indians, just like Eve was beguiled by the serpent in the Old Testament, right? In the garden, right? They were beguiled by the serpent in the 1800s, right? They were told, if you fight your brother, which is the Creek Nation, right, we'll leave you alone, and we'll give you lands, right? And we'll leave you on these lands, right? And that's what they told them. And you can never trust your enemy, right? I'm gonna bring that precept out in a few moments, but they basically told them that you could, one moment,
Hey, shalom, sir. Yahweh.
Shalom, Aki Abashim Yashabakatha. What's going on, Aki Tuwab?
God, sir.
Khan. That's Tuwab. That's Tuwab. All right, let's get it in. Let's get it in. Right. So they basically told our Gadite brothers that if you fight the Creek Nation, we'll leave you and we'll give you the lands, right? This was treaties that the US government signed, right? The Supreme Court wanted to uphold these treaties, right? Or at least that's what they acted like they wanted to do. Right? And Andrew Jackson, he said forget it. He didn't care what the Supreme Court said. He didn't care what the state of Georgia recognized, right? The state of Georgia was basically saying that you can't these Native American Indians, they treaty with us, but the oppressor who is the devil the Bible speaks of, he's broken over 1,000 treaties. Right? One moment. Give me one moment. If Baba Kasha, can you, Shalakia, Officer Yerad, can you hold Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10? Right. So Andrew Jackson did not care about the treaties, right? Our oppressor has broken many treaties. Again, if you're watching, Commanding General YAHANNA will be going live at 9 p.m. Right? They didn't care. Andrew Jackson did not care about any of the treaties. Right? The Gadites were supposed to be left alone on land that they were designated. You got to think about the oppressor stealing land and saying, if you fight a war for us, we will, against your own people, we will give you some more land. We'll let you live in the closet. Right? We'll take your house and you fight your brother and we'll let you live in the closet, or we'll let you live in the bathroom, maybe the attic. Right? But the rest of the mansion you don't get. Right? Just go in the walk-in closet and you could live there and you'll be all right. Right? So Andrew Jackson, he didn't care. Our oppressors, they seen the Native Americans and many of the Northern Kingdom tribes just decked out in jewels and gold. And as soon as they got to a point where they could wage war on the Northern Kingdom, that's what they did. Right? So these treaties were broken. Right? It was a federal law, these treaties. But Andrew Jackson, he said, you know what? I'm going to introduce the Indian Removal Act. So we're going to get into the Indian Removal Act. Give me one moment. Let me get the screen share rocking. Right. So we're going to get into this. And they've done many just acts, and they've put many things into their law that was just simply designed to destroy us, right? The Indian Removal Act was signed into law on Monday 28th, Salakia, on May 28th, 1830, by United States President Andrew Jackson. This man, he was a killer. He hated North American Indians. He hated blacks and Hispanics, right? He wanted the land. He seen that the southern states was good land and he wanted it. He seen there was gold and diamonds in the river and that they wanted it, right? The law authorized the president to negotiate with southern Native American tribes for their removal to federal territory west of the Mississippi River, right? In exchange for white settlement of their ancestral lands. The act has been referred to as a unitary act of systematic genocide. right? They've done so many acts of genocide against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, from drugs to abortions to alcohol, right? For a fact, they set up abortion clinics near reservations, and in these abortion clinics, if a Gadite sister went into an abortion clinic because she was told it's okay to have an abortion, she came out sterile, right? They basically made sure that she could not have babies again, right? Because it is discriminated against, because it discriminated against an ethnic group in so far as to make certain the death of vast numbers of its population. The act was signed by Andrew Jackson, and it was strongly enforced under his administration, right? He took federal soldiers, and he used them to march into these lands, right? And there was so many crimes committed during when they did this, like the strong men were killed in front of their families, the sisters were killed, right? This extremely hurts to say this, but when you hear this, if you're in the school, use this information for when you go to camp. Use it to fuel you to stay in this truth, right? They would kill the husband, they would rape the mother, right? They would take our children, the little babies, and grab them ankle by ankle, hold them upside down, and rip them apart, because our oppressor is a monster, right? And they would do it to see how strong these babies are. They would do so many torturous things to us just to see how much we could endure, right? And after all of that, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we're still here, right? And that's why this truth is in the world today, so we can come back and we can gather together, right? The act was signed by Andrew Jackson, and was strongly enforced under his administration and that of Martin Van Buren, which extended until 1841, right? So the Gadites, they fought their own brothers and sisters to, and they were promised that they'd be left alone, right? Again, you cannot trust a devil, right? You cannot trust a devil at all, right? Baba Kasha, if you could read that scripture.
Khan. Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 10. And it reads, never trust thy enemy.
Right? Hold that right there. You cannot trust your enemies. How can you trust a snake? Right? How can you trust a viper not to bite you? Right? You can't go into a dragon's den and expect it not to breathe fire on you. Right? And that's what our oppressors do. Right? Read that one more time.
God. Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 verse 10, it reads, never trust thine enemy.
Right. Continue reading, Baba Kasha.
God, sir. For like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
Right, his wickedness it's not gonna get old. It's sure to happen, right? Just like you leave a old you leave a brand new piece of metal, leave a brand new sword, right? Leave a sword in the water, right? Leave it outside in the elements, and that sword is guaranteed to rust, right? Our enemies, the oppressor, the devil the Bible speaks of, his hatred for us is guaranteed, right? You cannot trust him. He says, I'm gonna sign this treaty, and then he decides to take your land and build a pipeline through it. Even right now, as we speak, they're trying to remove more Gadite brothers and more Native Americans off the lands in Oklahoma so they could build pipelines. right? We in Canada right now, the the people of Wet'suwet'en are still fighting not to have pipelines going through their land, right? You can't trust your enemy, right? And at the end of the day, like if you Native Americans, the Gadite brothers, you got to get in the ISUPK, right? This brotherhood is strong. Black and brown, we definitely got to gather together. This brotherhood is a weapon, right? You can't think that you're gonna convince the oppressor not to do what he wants to do, right? The oppressor is a virus, a parasite. All it knows how to do is go into a land and leech, murder, and kill. You can't trust your enemies. Right. For a fact, like there are stories of of like they would see Gadite children walking and start firing their rifles at them for target practice. Right. These are the crimes that they did to us. They would take swords and stick them into the dirt so the blade sticks up, and they would take our little babies and throw them and try to impale the baby with the sword, right? Trying to work on their accuracy, right? And these are the things that our oppressors did to us, right? So we're definitely gonna get more into it. Let's get some more of this story, right? Slovakia, one moment. So now that we broke down what the Indian Removal Act was, right? We're gonna get some more. The Cherokee removal in 1838, the last forced removal east of the Mississippi, was brought on by the discovery of gold near the Dahlonega, Georgia. Near Dahlonega, Georgia, right? So as I said, the oppressor, he's greedy. All he wants is to steal and kill, right? That's all he wants to do. He doesn't know anything else but to steal and to kill, right? They seen that there was gold in the land. They said, you know what, we got to get these Native Americans off this land, and we don't care where we put them. We got to put them somewhere, and we're gonna go get the gold, because that's all the oppressor knows. He knows money. Salakia, did you say something?
Nah, sir, no, Salaki, I was discussing.
Con. Whenever you want to chime in, I don't no sweat it. You can chime in anytime.
Appreciate that, sir.
Con. Right. Again, if you're watching, hit that like button, like, subscribe, and share this channel. If you're trying to be a trooper or a sister in the school, hit the sign-in link. Get you a Hebrew name. Come find out what real brotherhood is. Right. Give me one moment. Right. So we're gonna read some more. One moment. Yeah, let's read right there. Right. So there was gold in Georgia. The Andrew Jackson, he didn't care about what Georgia said. He didn't care that the government of Georgia and the Supreme Court said leave these Native Americans alone. Right? He said, I'm the president now. I'm king. I'm doing what I want. I don't care. Right? The relocated peoples suffered from exposure, disease, starvation, while en route to their new designated reserves. Right? So you just gotta think about it, man. Like they're marching our brothers and sisters over 1,000 kilometers, right? And there was disease they were suffering from, mainly the young children and the elderly, right? There was whooping cough, typhus, dysentery, starvation, right? They fed us moldy corn, moldy food, right? They introduced pork into the diet of the Gadites, right? The Gadites, they weren't eating pork at this time, right? Now you go on the reserve, bacon is just a thing, right? Slovakia. You go onto the reserves and bacon is a thing. Pork is what they're eating now. When Gadites didn't eat pork at one time, right? There was harsh weather conditions, right? And a lot. Now let's just not get it twisted. Like the Gadites are a warrior tribe, right? They didn't. Salakia, get me Genesis 49 and 19, Baba Kasha. Come on, right? They weren't just taking it lightly. They weren't just taking it laying down that they were now being forced to go somewhere else, right? Especially when there was a treaty. Like Native Americans, the tribe of Gad, they believe that your word is bond, right? Which your word should be bond. If you tell a man something, you should stick by what you said, right? They were told they could stay on these lands, and now they're being told we're moving you. So they went to war, right? This is why Andrew Jackson had to call in federal troops, right? Gad is a warrior tribe, right? It's a warrior tribe, like a troop cometh, right? Shalakia, where were we? We wanted 40, 49. Let's get that right quick. Let's get 49, Genesis 49. And what did I ask for? 19? You can read it whenever you got it.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 19, and reads, Gad, a troop, shall overcome him.
Right? Hold that right there. Native Americans, a troop, shall overcome him. Right? Meaning Andrew Jackson was going to overcome you. Right? The Spaniards, the English, the French were going to overcome you. Right? Like you are warriors, but because the Lord wasn't with you, a troop will overcome you. Right? Read.
But he shall overcome at the last.
Right? So even though it seems like you're never going to get out of oppression, right? You will. Read that last part again.
Sir. But he shall overcome at the last.
At the last, you're going to be over your oppressors. You're going to get over on your oppressors. Your oppressors won't be able to withstand what the Lord has in store for them. Right? Even though it seems like this is just it. This is just what you get, all this oppression. Eventually, you will overcome the troops that overcame you. Right? Where were we? Let's get back into this article we got right quick. Thousands died before reaching their destination or shortly after from disease. Right. Hold up. In 1830, a group of Indian tribes collectively referred to as the five civilized tribes: the Cherokee, the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, and the Muskogee and Seminole tribes were living as autonomous nations, right? So they weren't all together, but they were living, right? In what would be later termed American Deep South. So these tribes, they lived in the Deep South. The process of cultural transformation from their traditional way of life towards a white American way of life, as proposed by George Washington and Henry Knox, was gaining momentum, right? So they were being whitewashed. They were being what our oppressor would term them as good citizens, right? They were Salakia. It's like when a bully is telling you and bullying you and killing you, eventually you give in. Eventually you're destroyed, and that's a troop shall overcome them, right? George Washington and Henry Knox was the troop that overcame them, right? American settlers had been pressuring the federal government to remove Indians from southeast, right? So what? Hold up, let's get into something else. Let's hold that right there. And let's get to, we need that screen share one more time. Right. So let's look at this picture for a second. Let's see if we can get some more so closer on it. Snap. That's not what we want. Salakia. Now, that was from a couple weeks ago when we were doing the effeminization of the black man. Right. That was a good class. You could go watch it. It's somewhere in I.S.U.P.K. Canada, when we were talking about how Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are being effeminized. Right. That's not what we're talking about today, but we're going to get back into it. Salakia, one moment. Gotta work the boards. Right. So let's look at this picture right quick, right? If you want, if you can't really see it, just let us know. We'll try to zoom into it some more. Right. But hold up. So what we got right here is you got where the Gadites, the Reubenites, Salaki, I'm not sure. I think the tribe of Dan was in this area as well, right? But you got the Cherokee, the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, the Creek, and the Seminole Indians living in this area right here, right? All in this area right here, and they were marched over 1,000 kilometers to over here, right? To Oklahoma. Right, and you gotta, there was harsh weather conditions. There are images which are, they show sisters in blankets, right, because it was so cold. There some of our peoples didn't have shoes, and they were just marching us. And you got to think about all the, like, it wasn't just the starvation and the disease killing us, right? Nature was killing us too. You got to think about how many rattlesnakes, how many poisonous things are in the wilderness right around here, and you're marching through with no shoes, right? There was a lot of times when they would kill our children and our sisters if they were slowing down the caravan, right? So you can see it. Imagine walking from Florida to Oklahoma in the 1800s, and oppressors are on horses, and they're just being very cruel to you. They have no humanity. Our oppressors are beasts, right? Salakia, get me Baba Kasha. Can you get me Job 9 and 24? Let's get Job 9 and 24 right quick.
Gotcha.
Right. So that's what we got right here. Let's see if we can get some more images of the Trail of Tears. So we're done with that.
Gotcha.
Kana.
This is the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24. And it reads, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
The earth is given into the hand of the oppressor. Right? He is the wicked. Right? Let's 1 second. Let me see if I can get this image right quick. Save. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Our oppressor is wicked. They did evil things, right? They knew that we weren't going to take, especially our brothers and sisters, they weren't going to take being removed lightly, right? They were going to fight, right? As we brought out earlier, our oppressor is so wicked that they made it seem like they seen blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans getting along perfectly fine when they would run away from the slave plantations. They said, you know what? They're getting along too perfect, and they're showing too much brotherhood. We gotta sow dissension into them, right? We gotta make them hate each other, right? And they said Native Americans could own black slaves. Again, Native Americans didn't own black slaves, but they put our names on ledgers so the white man our oppressor wouldn't take us from the reserves and put us back into slavery, right? And you like, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Like our brothers and sisters on the reservations, they know who the wicked is, right? It still boggles my mind why they think that it's okay to protest and get help from the oppressor, like the oppressor is going to help you, right? He's not going to help you. That is not what the oppressor does. The oppressor he doesn't want to help, right? So let's get into Salaki. I'm back. Right? The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Baba Kasha, can you finish that out?
Gotcha. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?
Right? So the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. The wicked, our oppressor, he landed in what he deemed as the new world, the land given to the northern kingdom, and he moved very wickedly. He did very cruel things. Right? One moment. Let's put this down for a second. Let's get back here. Right. You cannot expect an oppressor not to be cruel. That is all the oppressors know. Right. Now, this is an illustration of true events. Right? Now, this illustration, there are, you can see Gadites on horses and buggies, but It's highly doubted that the oppressor let them have horse carriages and buggies. Sisters would carry children on their back, right? In this depiction right here, right, you could see the snow on the ground. You could see our elderly foremothers in blankets. You could see some on the ground, right, in the cold of the winter, right? And this is why a lot of us were dying, right? It's definitely something that should be talked about. You see how the oppressor is very cruel. He man, you rather befriend a lion than befriend an oppressor. You'll have better time with a lion than trying to get an oppressor to like you. Right now, I'm not saying go to the Toronto Zoo and jump in the lion cage and be like, "Hey, lion, hey, Simba, you're my friend," but you're better off with a lion, right? Salakia, one of our brothers, he was in a in a pit with the lion. I think it was Daniel. Salakia, Daniel was with the lions, and the lions didn't touch him, right? So you can see, like, just look at what they did to us, what they did to our brothers, right? And there was a bunch of so-called black people with them as well when this was happening. All right, let's see if we can get one more. Let me see if I can find one more. Hold up. Right, this one right here. We'll get this one. So, like, thumb up the video, hit the signing. Right, if you got any questions that pertains to this subject, you could type your questions in the chat. Bear with me one moment. Salakia, it's right now. While we wait for this to load, we're gonna get more into it. I think we're ready now. Salakia. Dang, this is taking kind of long. Where did I have it? Right here. Yeah, this is what we wanted. Okay, my computer is giving me a little bit of difficulty. Yeah.
So, sir, can I help with something?
It's just my computer's freezing up at the moment. It's Tawab. I think I got it right now. This is some technology that our oppressor makes, man. It's just no good. I think Moab might have made this, man. Right. So we're gonna get back into it. Salakia. American settlers had been pressuring the federal government to remove Indians from the southeast. Many settlers were encroaching on Indian lands, right? While others wanted more land made available for Salakia, made available to the settlers. Although the effort was vehemently opposed by some, including U.S. Congressman Davy Crockett of Tennessee, President Andrew Jackson was able to gain congressional passage of the Indian Removal Act of 1830, which authorized the government to extinguish any Indian title to land claims in the Southwest. Right, so they were coming to steal and to kill. Right, Salakia, did you have a precept for me? What was the last one we read? Hand of the Wicked.
Let me just Salaka, sir. The last one we read was Job, but
one second. I'm just looking for something. Bring us to. We got that. Bring me to John 10 and 10, Baba Kasha. While we read. In 1831, the Choctaw became the first nation to be removed, and their removal served as the model for the future relocation. After 2 wars, many Seminoles were removed in 1832. Right, so you're seeing that the natives, the Gad, the tribe of Gad, the tribe of Reuben, they weren't going for it. They had war, right? They made war with the oppressor, right? The oppressor coming to kill you, coming to rape your wife, coming to murder your brother and destroy your children. That is an act of war. Our brothers and sisters, they knew what time it was, right? Many Seminoles were removed in 1832. The Creek removal followed in 1834. The Chickasaw in 1837. And lastly, the Cherokee in 1838. Right? So over the period of 8 years, they removed nations from the land. Right? And they went to war with them. Right? So we're going to drop that down for a second. Let's stop that. Baba Kasha, can you hit me with that precept?
Look, come. This is the book of John, chapter 10 and verse 10. And it reads, "The thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy."
Right. So this thief cometh to steal and to kill and to destroy. Shalakia. Right? That's what our oppressors came to do. They came to steal people. They came to take land and to kill. That's what our oppressor, they have a bloodthirst. They hate us in their hearts, right? You can never trust your oppressor, right? That's why you're not supposed to protest with oppressors. Look at all the crimes that have happened, right? These are the curses that Native American Indians would go through in the Bible. It lets you know that these men, they came to steal and to kill, right? And for a fact, for any Native American who might be watching this, right? You are the tribe of Gad. The Bible was not written by the oppressor. This is your book. This is your history, right? They have nothing to do with, other than they sell the Bible now. That's all they have to do with this Bible. In the Bible, it tells you their crimes. It shows you their punishment that's going to come, right? So if you think there's no punishment for your oppressor, you're mistaken. There isn't a punishment, right? Read that one more time from the top.
Go on, sir. So, this is the book of John, chapter 10, and verse 10. It reads, "The thief cometh not but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly."
Right? So this is why Christ is coming to give us life. Right now we're dying on the reservations, in the ghettos. They're killing us. If they're not forcing abortion on us, they're forcing drugs on us. If they're not forcing drugs on us, they're blatantly just kidnapping our sisters and killing them. Right? And this is what the thief came to do. He came to destroy us, to kill us, right? This is a image, right, that you can see, right? This is an image, like a depiction of the Trail of Tears, right? Look at these sisters. They're in blankets because they're marching through the cold, right? That's what was happening to us. They're marching us through the cold, right? The oppressor came to destroy us. That's what they came to do.
That's right.
Salakia, one moment. Right. It's like during the winter time, it took some of our brothers and sisters over 3 months to cover 60 plus miles in southern Illinois, right? And that's between Ohio and the Mississippi rivers, right? A lot of disease and sickness tore through the campsites, right? The harsh winter conditions, it killed a lot of our brothers and sisters, especially the children and the elderly, right? And they didn't even allow our people to mourn when these things were happening. They would, just like in residential schools, they would bury our dead in mass graves, right? They would bury our dead in mass graves, right? And just like we got a quote from a Confederate soldier, right? And he participated in the Civil War, right? So we're gonna read his quote, right? "I fought through the Civil War and saw men shot to pieces and slaughtered by the thousands," right? So this man, he fought in the Civil War, and he saw men just utterly destroyed in a hail of bullets and cannonball fire and explosions, right? Where were we? "I fought through the Civil War and saw men shot to pieces and slaughtered by the thousands. But the Cherokee removal was the cruelest work I ever knew." Like, good night. This man saw his brothers and sisters who are oppressors get murdered and blown up in front of him. But he said throughout all that war, the worst he ever saw and ever knew was the removal of our Native American brothers and sisters. Right? Just imagine that. Like, he's saying that's the worst he ever saw was their removal. Right? That's crazy. right? And like that's just like when Salakia, when we lost Jerusalem to Titus, right? Titus basically said that it was so bad that the sacking of Jerusalem and the taking of slaves had to be an act from God, right? And that's basically to let you know. Now some people, especially Christians, they'll say, well, why is the Lord so cruel, right? Well, you got to go through punishments just like any child goes through punishments if you disobey the Most High, right? Idol worship like Easter Sunday, right? Worshiping nature instead of the Creator, that goes against the Most High, right? Killing your brother, fighting a war for the oppressor, like the Cherokee Nation fought the Creek Nation, right? That is just like the Beaver Wars that happened in Upper Canada, right? When they had Upper Canada, the oppressors told one set of Gadite brothers to fight another set of Gadite brothers for to help them get the land for the Beaver Wars, so they could get money to sell the fur. There was a fur trade war going on in Upper Canada in around the, if it's not the 1800s, it's around the 1700s, right? But there was Salakia. Let's just find out. There was the fur trade wars that were happening, and our brothers and sisters, they chose to fight each other and side with the oppressor. What happens when you trust a snake? It bites you, right? After fighting your brothers and sisters and siding with the oppressors, they basically were forced onto reservations in residential schools. Right, so the fur trade wars were that happened around, let's see, I think they have it dated for 1812. I'm just trying to make sure that's correct. Right, so these wars happened around the 1800s, around 1812. Right, and that is like, how are you going to fight your brother and side with the oppressor, and then be mad that the oppressor put you into residential schools, right? You can't side against your brother with the oppressor. It doesn't work out. Like all the time, every time you do that, the Lord is going to come up against you. You're going to be destroyed because of it. Right? So I want to read some more of the article, and then we're going to go into Salakia. Did you finish? Khan, you finished it. Baba Kashah, can you bring me to Deuteronomy 28 and 49? We're going to read some more of this article. We're going to read some more of this article right quick. The Trail of Tears, where were we? All right. So some managed to evade removals, however, and remained in their ancestral homelands. Some Choctaw still reside in Mississippi, Creek in Alabama and Florida, Cherokee in North Carolina, and the Seminole in Florida. A small group of Seminole, fewer than 500, evaded forced removal. The modern Seminole tribe of Florida is descended from these individuals. A small number of non-Native Americans who lived with the tribes, including some African descendants, right? So again, there was a time when blacks were at peace with Native Americans. They like to paint the narrative that Native Americans owned slaves, but that's not actually correct, right? So we're just going to read it just for the sake of reading it, including over 4,000 slaves, right? So you can see that there was 4,000 blacks living with Native Americans and others as spouses or freedmen, right? And with the in every lie the oppressor tells you, there's always some form of truth, right? So on paper it said they were slaves, they weren't slaves. They were marrying into, which they were being spouses or and freedmen, right? Also accompanied the Indians on the trek westward, right? This is how you were able, like Black Wall Street. When we think of towns like Black Wall Street, it's because we were on that Trail of Tears with them, right? And when if you Salakia, whenever like a Native American and someone black like get together, it's always brotherhood. It's always a peaceful time. There's not really there's no mischief in the hearts, and we just get along, right? We a, a black man and a Native American man sit down and have one drink together, and they start talking about the oppression. They're gonna form a bond, right? Because they're going to realize they went through the same oppression. That's why the Israelite school of universal practical knowledge is here, so we can build back that bond, so we can make it stronger again, so we can be a one people again, right? Take those two sticks and make them one, right? By 1837, 46,000 Indians from the southeastern states had been removed from their homelands, thereby opening 25 million acres. Wow. 100,000 square kilometers for white settlement, right? So these thieves, that's all they wanted to do. They just wanted the land, they wanted the gold, right? Shalakia, one moment. Right. Because of the things that Andrew Jackson did, he became known as a national hero, right? At the Battle of Horseshoe Bend, right? So again, they promised the Cherokees governmental friendship, right? You can't be friends with the oppressors, right? Slovakia. So we'll leave that for now. Right, let's read some more. Before 1838, the fixed boundaries of these autonomous tribal nations, comprising large areas of the United States, were subject to continual secession and annexation. Right, so what was happening is every now and then the oppressor would come in and he would take a little bit. That's what he would do. He would come in and take a little bit. Right. Don't forget to check out Commanding General YAHANNA. He'll be going live with the heavy hitters, right? And about 15-20 minutes he'll be going live with the heavy hitters, right? On Blackwatch. Again, like this, hit the thumb up the video. If you got any questions, put it in the chat. Right? So where were we? Comprising large areas of the United States, were subject to continual secession and annexation. in part due to the pressure from squatters and the threat of military force in the newly declared U.S. territories. Federally administered regions whose boundaries supervened upon the native treaty claims. As these territories became U.S. states, state governments thought to dissolve the boundaries of the Indian nations within their borders, which were independent of state jurisdictions, and to the expropriate of their land. These pressures were exacerbated by the U.S. population growth and the expansion of slavery in the South, right? With the rapid development of cotton cultivation in the upper lands after the invention of the cotton gin by Eli Whitney, right? Another oppressor. Salakia, do you have that what are we looking for? We want to Deuteronomy 28. Can we get Deuteronomy 28 and 49, Baba Kasha? Officer, you're out.
Salaki, sir. I was on mute. Salaki. This is the
No.
book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 49. Salaki, sir. And it reads, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth.
Right? So the Lord was going to bring a nation against us from far, right? From the ends of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, right? Our oppressors, they've always represented themselves as the eagle. Right? If you're a Gadite, a Native American, you've seen them represent themselves as the eagle. Like your forefathers seen these men come up flying across the water. Right? They sailed across the waters from Spain, from England, from France, from wherever these oppressors were. They traveled great distances to come and kill you, to come and put you in subjugation, to put you in slavery, to rape your children and your mothers, your sisters, and your aunties. Right? Read.
Con, sir. Salaki. Salaki. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 49, and it reads, in the middle, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Right? The Seminole Indians, the Cherokee, the Choctaw, the Salakia, the Chickasaw, the Creek, they didn't know the language of the oppressors. Right? They didn't know that the language of the oppressors would be the language that they're speaking, they would be forced to speak. Right? We didn't understand their tongue. Read.
Verse 50, a nation of fierce continents.
This nation, they had war in their heart. They had hate and murder in their heart, and they were willing to do the cruelest things to you. They had fierce continence. Read.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old.
Right? They didn't care about your grandmother or your grandfather. Read.
Nor nor show favor to the young.
They didn't care if they killed your child. If they didn't care if your child was starving, they didn't care about none of the food that they that they were feeding your children. Just look at all the crimes they've done. Look at all the bones of the Gadite children that have been dug up in mass graves of residential schools in Canada. All right, drop that right there. Da 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 da. Bring me to Psalms 137 and 9, Baba Kasha.
Okay.
Right? Hold that right there. We're going to keep reading.
Salaka, so you said 137 and 9?
Come on, 137 and 9. You want happy shall he be. Salaki, if I'm paraphrasing it.
That's the one, sir. Order.
Right? Andrew Jackson's support for the removal of the Native Americans began at least a decade before his presidency. Indian removal was Jackson's top legislative priority upon taking office. Right? Salakia, this like Salakia. I'm gonna read this one more time, right? And we just had a president whose top priority was to do the same thing to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? Andrew Jackson's support for the removal of Native Americans began at least a decade before his presidency, right? 10 years before he was president, he wanted to kill Native Americans. Indian removal was Jackson's top legislative priority upon taking office, right? This is just like the former President Donald Trump, right? He wanted to remove the Northern Kingdom from coming back into the United States, which was their land from before. And he decided to build camps and lock our babies in cages, lock our brothers and sisters in cages, and give them full paper to sleep with. He had our babies and our brothers and sisters in makeshift cells made out of chain link fence and stuffed them in there like sardines. The removal, conducted under both President Jackson and Van Buren, followed the Indian Removal Act of 1830, which provided the president with the powers to exchange land with native tribes and provide infrastructure improvements on existing land. The law also gave the president power to pay for transportation costs to the West, should tribes willingly choose to relocate. You could damn sure best believe that they didn't give nothing to nobody if they were willing to do it, right? And if they did give them something, it definitely wasn't much, right? The law did not, however, allow the president to force tribes to move west without mutually agreed upon treaty, right? And they, as you can see, like the tribes, we read earlier, they fought 2 wars, right? They fought wars to stay on the land. They didn't have permission or sign another treaty for the Native Americans and the other tribes that are with them, the Cherokee tribes and the other tribes that are with them, to be removed. Referring to the Indian Removal Act, Martin Van Buren, Jackson's vice president and successor, is quoted saying, "There was no measure in the whole course of Jackson's administration, of which he was more exclusively the author than this. Right? This man hated us, and he wanted to make sure that we were killed. Right? He wanted to make sure that we were off the land, so he could go dig for his gold. Right? There was a time when you could just go to a running river and drink out of it, because there was gold and other minerals in the river that would purify the river, right? Purify these waters, right? Let the oppressors get it. You don't even want to jump in these rivers now. You might come up with a third arm, right? They've polluted the land so much and turned massive areas, especially native reservations, into dumping grounds for garbage, right? The success answer. So okay, we already read that. In the years after the act, the Cherokee filed several lawsuits regarding conflicts with the state of Georgia. Some of these cases reached Supreme Court, the most influential being Worcester versus Georgia. Right, so we'll get into that probably later. Samuel Worcester and other non-Indians were convicted by Georgia law for residing in Cherokee territory in the United States of Georgia without a license. Worcester was sentenced to prison for 4 years and appealed the ruling, arguing that this sentence violated treaties made between Indian nations and the United States federal government by imposing state laws on Cherokee lands. The court ruled in Worcester's favor, declaring that the Cherokee Nation was subject only to federal law and that the supremacy clause barred legislative interference by the state of Georgia. Let's see what else we got. Let's jump down. Andrew Jackson did not listen to the Supreme Court mandate barring Georgia from intruding on Cherokee lands. He feared that the enforcement would lead to open warfare between federal troops and Georgia militia, which would compound on the ongoing crisis in South Carolina, and lead to a border civil war. Instead, he vigorously negotiated a land exchange treaty with the Cherokee. Right, that's definitely cap, because we know that they fought wars to stay. Right. Salakia, are you holding anything for me?
Con, sir. I got Psalms 137 and 9.
Okay, con. Right. Can you read that?
Con, sir. This is the book of Psalms, chapter Salakia. Excuse me. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 137 and verse 9. And it reads, "Happy shall he be that he taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones."
Right. So during the Trail of Tears, when we had pregnant sisters, if the pregnant sisters were slowing down the caravan, they would kill the sisters and cut the babies out of their stomachs, right, and stomp out the babies. If a sister was nursing, they would take the babies and dash them against the rocks, right? We brought out earlier how they would murder the father, kill the mother, and pull the baby apart at the ankles, right? Like, you eventually, there's gonna come a time when we get to exact our revenge, right? The Lord is gonna send the angels in Christ to take revenge for the Trail of Tears, right? and their babies are going to die, right? There's going to be a time when we get to exact revenge for the crimes that they did to us, right? There's Gadite blood that's crying out to the Lord, just like Abel's blood cried out to the Lord when Cain slew him. Our oppressors had that Cain spirit, right? Happy will be. Read that one more time.
Fine, so. Psalms 137, verse 9, it reads, happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones.
Continue.
That's the end of Salaki. Yeah, Salaki. So that's the end of 137 in the chapter. That's the end of the chapter, Salaki.
That's 1 second. Okay, come. That's it. All right, let's get me. So okay, we got that one. Right. Get me Psalms 55. Let's stay in this book for a second. Psalms 55, verse 20. Right. And it's like the crimes that the oppressors did to us is so horrible. Right. Every year, fake Jews, the fake Jewish man, he gets to remember and mourn for the so-called 6 million of them that died throughout the Holocaust. When the real Holocaust happened on slave ships, it happened during the Trail of Tears.
Right.
Right. Just 1 second. Let's see if there's anything else to read in that. Right. The real Holocaust happened on the Trail of Tears, and we don't get to speak about it. Right. No one's bringing this out. Only the I.S.U.P.K is really bringing out the history of what's happening. Everybody else is talking about either voting, they're talking about just nothing that's going to help us, that's going to fix us. They're not giving us any solutions, right? But in the I.S.U.P.K, we have all the solutions to get from under this oppression. Because in the I.S.U.P.K, we're not oppressed.
That's right. Damn right.
Right? Like the fake Jews, they get to talk about their so-called Holocaust. Native Americans, they don't get to cry about their Holocaust. You see it on the news. You see what's happening on the reserves. You see how many sisters are going missing, but they don't get to cry about it. No one's doing anything about it, right? The U.S. government had nothing to do with the Holocaust, but they paid billions to the fake Jew and help them get resettled. Right? The U.S. government, the Canadian government right now, they're stealing more land and annexing more land from the Native Americans. Right? Let me just drop these sign-in links as we go. Right? Again, before exiting the class, hit that sign out link to get Hebrew benefits. Don't forget, Commanding General YAHANNA is going to be live. Right? What did we want? We wanted 55 and 20. Right? The tribe of Gad, Blacks, Hispanics in general, we're a peaceable people, and like we're loving. Right? We're the Lord's chosen people. We find it somehow, it baffles me all the time, but we find a way to always love our oppressors. We always want to help. Right? We always want to help. We just have a good heart. right? We're the saints of the world. We're supposed to be the ones judging the world. If we were judging the world, there wouldn't be war like you see it, right? And our oppressor, he doesn't know how to be at peace with anybody. Everywhere he goes, he rages war. He's never had a land to himself that he didn't rage war to get. Right? And what he does is he'll go somewhere, act like he's hurting and be at peace, and then turn around and cry about it. Right? Example, right? We'll talk about something that's happening in the news. For anybody who watches sports, there's a devil who was sending tweets and taking shots at Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant says some things that he probably shouldn't have said in a DM, because a devil is going to be a devil. The devil turns around and puts that conversation he had with a private conversation he had with Kevin Durant, goes on TV and starts crying and acting like he did nothing wrong. Right? That's what our oppressors do. They act like they'll commit a crime and then act like they did nothing wrong. They'll find someone who's at absolute peace with them and then turn around and try to kill him. Right? Can you read Psalms 55 and 20? And this is like the tribe of Gad. Like this is describing you to a T. Right? This is your history. This is your book. Read.
Psalms chapter 55 and verse 20, and it reads, "He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him."
Right? So our oppressor, he'll kill who's at peace with him. Right? You can walk up to an oppressor and shake his hand, and he's thinking of ways to steal from you. You sign into your slavery, Salakia. You go clocking at your slavery, and you're 2 minutes late, and you tell your oppressor supervisor good morning, and he's looking at you like, damn, this nigga's late. How do I get him fired? Right? That's what oppressors do.
Gotcha.
Read that one more time.
Psalms is the book of Psalms, chapter 55 and verse 20, and it reads, "He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant."
Right? He broke his covenants. Right? Like he signed over 1,000 treaties with the Gadites, with the Seminoles, with the tribe of Dan, with the tribe of Reuben, right? With the tribe of Issachar. He's signed over 1,000 treaties, and he's broken 1,001 treaties. Right? Every treaty he's ever signed, he's broken. That's why they're trying to put pipelines through native land right now. Right? Read that last part one more time. Right? And Gad, you gotta my Native American brothers and sisters, you gotta listen up, because this describes everything you went through.
Good.
Read it from the top.
Psalms chapter 55 and verse 20, and reads, "He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him."
Hold it right there. Didn't you help him when he came off the ships and it was cold? Didn't you show him how to survive the American and Canadian winters? Didn't you show him how to grow corn and how to sheave the corn and how to cook the corn? Didn't you show him how to take showers? Right? There's reports of Esau's daughters. When they came, they were so hungry that they were eating their own lice. Right? And who do you think helped him?
Mm-hmm.
blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right?
Yeah, facts, sir.
Man, if a police officer is walking through any ghetto right now, and he just so happens to fall down, it doesn't matter how many times that one police officer has harassed the young black children in the neighborhood. There's going to be some grandmother, some auntie, some mother, or some uncle or father that thinks he needs to go over, help that oppressor, right? And right after the oppressor's helped, he's going to come back the next day and harass some black, Hispanic, and Native American. Read.
Come. He had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant.
Right? I gave you this land, but listen, I needed to put a pipeline through it right now. Read that part one more time.
Sir. He hath broken his covenant.
You can't have Georgia no more. You got to go to Oklahoma.
He hath broken his covenant.
Right? And because you built up Oklahoma now, and we're going through a depression, we're gonna drop bombs. The first aerial bombing that's happening in the Americas is because we're dropping bombs on you.
He hath broken his covenant.
Right? They broke every covenant.
Right.
They broke every covenant. Right? Read 21.
Verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
He gonna talk some slick shit to you, and you gonna think that he loves you, right? He's gonna talk that slick shit to you, and you're gonna think that, like, damn, this oppressor, he loves us, and I got a watch from my oppressor at work today. He must respect me.
The word, right?
Yeah, you could kick that one more time.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
Finish it out.
But war was in his heart.
Right? He wants to kill you. That's what's in his heart. He's thinking of 1,000 ways to kill you. Here's a historical fact. Native Americans did not start scalping. That was a torture tactic the French did. Right? There's an excellent breakdown that General Mahayaman did on the they were basically for every Native American head, you would get some type of, there would be a reward for it, for anybody who could bring in a Native American head. Like, even till this day, you could find old target practice papers with like an Indian chief head with the regalia on it. Right? Because war is in their heart. They say it's all love, but war is in their heart. Read.
Concert. But war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil. Yeah.
Right. So his words were softer than oil, right? He had smooth words. Don't worry, you just kill your brother for me, and we ain't gonna bother you no more. All you gotta do is kill your brother. Like, y'all been warned anyways, just kill him. It's all good. Read.
Yet were they drawn swords.
Right? So when he says he loves you with his right hand extended, behind his back with his left hand, he has a pistol. He has a sword. He's willing to shoot you and cut your head off. Look at Mike Brown. Mike Brown had his hands up, right? Not a threat to the police officer, and he was shot in his back and in his face and in his chest. Right? Can you bring me to Lamentations Salaki? Give me Lamentations 4:18. We got a couple more precepts we're going to read, and then we're going to go out and end this class.
It's the book of Lamentations, chapter 4 and verse 18. And it reads, They hunt our steps, that we cannot go in our streets.
Right? So our steps are being hunted, right? Andrew Jackson, he hunted the Gadite steps, right? He wanted to kill them from the get-go. That's all he wanted to do, right? To a point where like now you can't even go outside half the time without the threat of some oppressor trying to roll up on you, get your ID and figure out if you're a criminal. When the oppressor works for a criminal, he works for a gang of criminals with badges and the legal right to murder. Right? They hunt our steps. Was that it? Was that the rest of it?
I believe there's still some more. It's a lot to see.
Kind, you can finish it out.
So they hunt our steps, that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come.
Right? So we're coming to an end of our oppression. Right? That's why we're on your screen right now, teaching you that you're Israelites, teaching you that Christ is coming back to save you, teaching you that salvation is for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans only. The rest of the nations don't need to be saved. They have armies. They have Salakia. Check this out. In the UN, there is no nation for the Native Americans. There's no nation for the Blacks and Hispanics. Right? There, like you can't, if you're Native American, you can't go to the Native American embassy in Ottawa and think that they're gonna step up for you. Every nation that comes here has an embassy where they can go and talk to the people of their country, and the leaders of their country will send out a call out to Parliament like, hey, what's going on? You're treating our people bad. There's none of that for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Right? Was that the end of it? Khan, that was it. Let's get Galatians 6 and 7.
It's the book of Galatians, chapter 6 and verse 7. And it reads, Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall be also reaped.
Right? So for the killing of Native Americans, right? Oppressors are gonna have to reap that. Right? They sowed it, they're gonna have to reap it. Right? For the killing of Native Americans, Christ is coming back to kill them. Right? He's coming back to punish them, to cut their heads off, to dash their babies against the stones.
That's right.
Right? It's going to be so bad that our oppressors are going to be beaten into submission so bad they're not going to know what to do. They're going to beg for mercy. Right? And we got a king that's not a coward. Right? He's not going to sign any treaties. Right? He's not going to sign any treaties or force integration like our leaders did. Our leaders signed treaties and they said integration was cool. Right? Now look at us. We're destroyed. There are no banks on the reserves. How can you be sovereign but you can't control your own money? Right? Was that the end of the verse?
It's a lot, yeah. It's a lot, sir.
Right? So all we have to do, we just got to be patient. Get in this ISUP, get in the I.S.U.P.K, man. You like Native Americans. I know that you're listening right now, but you're trying to figure out what's he talking about. I know the Bible scares the hell out of you because the oppressors used it to hurt you. That's what oppressors do. This is not their Bible. This is our book. This is our history. Right? We're reading now what's going to happen to the oppressors for touching us. Right? Native Americans, the tribe of Gad, you are the apple of the Most High's eye. And because of that, you're going to get salvation. Because you're the apple of his eye, the Most High is going to take his revenge for the crimes that happened to you. Right? Because of the Trail of Tears, our oppressors are going to be going into slavery. Right? All we have to do is be patient. Salakia, get me Baruch 4:25, Baba Kasha.
Gotcha.
Right? All we got to do is be patient. Right? We've been suffering for long enough. Our suffering is coming to an end. Right? But if you don't get into I.S.U.P.K, if you don't start living how the Most High wants you to live, you're going to be caught up with the oppressors. Right? Look how many blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are getting coronavirus right now. They're going through the plagues. Right? That's because you're living how the oppressor wants you to live. You're celebrating all his days. You're still worshiping the idols. Right? You Salakia. Like you can't worship the tree. How are you gonna worship the tree, worship the water, worship the air, worship the sun, the moon, the bear, the deer, the owl, the fox, but not the creator of these things? Right? You gotta worship the creator of these things, because without doing that, you're just gonna keep going through oppression. You got to get back to the Most High and follow his laws, his statutes, and commandments. Whenever you got it, Ak, you can read it.
Okay. This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4, and verse 25. And it reads, "My children, suffer patiently the wrath that is come upon you from God. For thine enemy hath persecuted thee, but surely thou shalt see his destruction, and shalt tread upon his neck."
Right? Let's take it one more time from the top.
My children, suffer patiently the wrath that is come upon you from God.
Right? You gotta suffer patiently. Y'all, it's like when you have a child and you send a child to your room, that child has to suffer patiently through his punishment. We're going through punishment right now. That punishment's coming to an end. Suffer patiently. Come back to the Most High. Give him a reason to crack that sky. Give him a reason to send Christ and 200 million angels to fight our oppression. Like, how do you expect the Most High to want to fight for you if you're not willing to fight for him? Right? If you can't even Salakia, my native brothers and sisters, you think that burning up a school bus and protesting a little is going to get you land back. It's not. The oppressor has drones. The oppressor will literally fire off a drone into your little protest, and then turn around and say it was some type of gas explosion, and he'll cover it up. How are you going to fight that man? Digging up a train line is not how you fight that man. You can't fight him. We've been fighting them for years, and it's only destroyed us. Right? And it's sad that when you walk onto reservations, you see oppressors. And my brothers and sisters are trying to fight the oppressors, but they're there with the oppressors, trying to fight the oppressors. The oppressors are going to side with the oppressors when it really comes down to it. Let a real war break out, and you're going to see every oppressor that you thought was on your side turn around and go to his brothers, go to his sisters, and side with them. Read.
God. For thy enemy had persecuted thee.
The enemy put you on the trail of tears. He put you in residential schools. He put his foot and his knee on your neck. He killed your children and raped your sisters. Salakia, he abused your sisters. Read.
But shortly thou shalt see his destruction. And
Right? Hold that right there. We're going to see the oppressor's destruction. We're going to get to watch the oppressor fall. Right now, like, let's give the Most High a hand right quick. We really got to give the Most High a hand, right? Because we're literally watching the destruction. They tried to open up Ontario just a while ago and said, gray zone. We're going to the gray zone. Let's have fun, the gray zone. Salakia, me and Officer Yerad, we were talking about this just a while ago, right? The gray zone, the gray zone, the gray zone. What that devil Ford say? He said, listen, man, we're going back in lockdown. The numbers are jumping. The trap house is booming. They wanted to get your tax money. It's tax season. They wanted to open up so you could go spend that tax money. The economy is failing. Why do you think they keep trying to open up? And every time they try to open up, what happens? Right? The numbers jump. The trap houses be booming. You're doing numbers. It's doing numbers. Like what do you expect is gonna happen? Right? This is the Most High's work. We're watching the destruction. Read.
God. But shortly thou shalt see his destruction, and shalt tread upon his neck.
We're gonna have our foot on his neck like they had, like Derek, like that devil Derek had his knee on our brother George Floyd's neck. Right? We're gonna decide what their children get to learn and what their children get to eat. Right? I can't wait for that day when me and Officer Yerad and I'm chilling and I'm just like, you know what? My housework's done. I got the tribe of Edom doing all the housework. Let me go check my bro right quick, and I call up Officer Yerad, and we're at his house. And I say, listen, Officer Yerad, you were telling me about a fast Edomite you have. What's going on? Officer Yerad's gonna say, yeah. And I'm gonna say, all right, let's time him. Let's see how fast he can run. And we're gonna make that oppressor run that field back and forth and see how fast it can happen. That's the day I wait for. That's why I'm in this truth, because our oppressors have been doing this to us for years. Right? They've been playing cruel games with us and murdering us for years. Right? Salakia, that was the end of it. Let's get one more. Right? And you could tie, like, again, what a man reaps, he's gonna sow. Right? You put the tribe of Gad in residential schools, you put blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans on slave ships, put us in your fields, and you slaughtered us at every turn. Every chance you got, the oppressor slaughtered us. Right? So for that, they're gonna get slaughtered. Right? Let's bring you to one of my favorite scriptures, Revelation 13 and 10. Baba Kasha, if you could grab that for me.
God. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 10. And it reads, He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
Right? Hold that right there. He that leadeth into slavery shall go into slavery. You put my brothers and sisters on the trail of tears, and your blood is going to spill for that. The Lord is going to take your life. Right? Now, we're not advocating any violence, because again, you can't fight the oppressor. How are you going to fight him? He has guns, he has tanks, he has raptors. These are jets. He has dragons that fly around and rain hellfire. He has Donald Trump in his presidency dropped the mother of all bombs. How are you going to fight that man? You think you can fight him? What are you going to fight him with? Where are you going to get the bullets? You don't even make guns. How are you going to fight him? You got to go to him for your clothes. You can't even hunt on your own tribal land without getting permission from the oppressor. Right? Do you know how much time? Like, just think about it. Like, Native Americans have tribal land, and say they wanted to what's lawful? I don't think geese are lawful, right? So let's just for all hypothetically, a Native American, he wanted to make a winter coat, right? And the big winter coats in Canada are goose down. He can't even kill a geese. They find out he kills a geese or a goose, he's gonna get mad time for it. Right? You can't fight the oppressor in hand-to-hand combat right now because he has all the weapons. He makes all the weapons. You gotta seek a higher power, right? You gotta seek Yahweh. If you got that precept, you can read it.
Revelations chapter 13, in the middle. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
Right? They killed us with the sword. They chopped our babies in half, murdered the strong men. The tribe of Gad, Native Americans, man, they've had like some strong brothers. I've seen some pretty strong brothers, right? Salakia, like you see that our brothers are really strong, right? And now you walk and you just see our brothers destroyed, right? It's like they destroyed our brothers and sisters, and it hurts my heart to see my brothers and sisters destroyed. All I want is to see them back in the proper place that they're supposed to be, right? They're supposed to be judging and running the world, right? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you are the Israelites. You're supposed to be the kings of the earth, right? We have a king. We have Christ. You're supposed to be the judges. You're supposed to be the rulers of the earth. Oppressors aren't supposed to be over you. 1,000 sisters aren't supposed to go missing from the 1970 to 2021. Read.
Okay.
Read it again from he that killeth with the sword, and you could just finish the precept.
Revelation 13 and verse 10, and it reads, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Salaki. You want me to read it from Salaki, so I just continue.
Yeah, you got it. Continue.
Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Right. Here is the patience of the saints, right? This is what we're waiting for. We've been killed and slaughtered so much, and this is what we're waiting for now. Right? We're waiting for our king, Yahweh. The world calls him ignorant. They ignorantly call him Jesus, but we're waiting for Yahweh to come back with the angels and wage war on our oppressors. Right?
That's right.
So with that said, this is we're gonna put an end to the class. The water for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe to this video. Right after this, go jump in Commanding General Yohanna's Black Watch. He's live right now. Right? Slovakia. So we're gonna put an end to this class. Clap it up. The water officer, your rod for tuning in.
No sweat, sir.
I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K, started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother comes into the school, When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3 verses 8 to 10. Ma'ashara, which means tenth in Hebrew, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. The up and coming Holy Convocation is, we got the 52nd annual Passover coming up. That's from Thursday 22nd, which would be the Thursday, April 22nd, we got the Slaughter of the Lambs. That's at Hamza Farm, 9022 Pertain Way. That's in Rashawn, Texas. It's from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Again, that's Thursday, April 22nd. Friday, April 23rd, we got the Houston pre-Passover Mansion Party. That's at 1800. Oh, that's at 1801 Muschesky Road. That's in Cypress, Texas. That's 6 p.m. until we stop partying. Saturday, April 24th, we got the I.S.U.P.K. annual Passover. This is the 52nd annual Passover. That's at 14149 Player Street, aka York Street, Houston, Texas. That's starting at sundown until, you know how we're black folks, until we decide we're done partying and having a good time, showing brotherhood and sisterhood. Sunday, April 25th, we got the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's at 14149 Player Street, aka York Street. Again, that's starting at sundown. It's going to be in Houston, Texas. Reminder to Akium and Aquathium to check the ISUPK.com, ISUPK Canada on Instagram, ISUPK Canada on Facebook, also ISUPK Quebec on Facebook for any up and coming information on events. If anybody wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boot shirts, pants, and headbands. Sisters, hit that sign-in link if you want to be in the school. With that said, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers and a courtesy salute to the sisters and end this class. Men of Israel, I imagine. Men of Israel, I imagine Shabbat. I imagine Barak. Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai Barakatha. Yad Yamatah, which means hands down. Men of Israel, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, I imagine Shabbat. I imagine Barak. Yahweh Shemar Alatha Ba'ashem Shai. Yad Yamatah, which means hands down. Clap it up. Class dismissed. The water tuning in, hit that sign-in link, go over to Commanding General YAHANNA and watch Black Watch.